name is Zerafina and I'm talking today about stage fright. So I took a workshop recently with a friend of mine, Trudy Camilleri, who is a performer or has been a performer on the West End for most of her performing life. And we ran a local workshop on performance confidence. And it was really fantastic to see people go from feeling like they didn't want to perform at all to getting on stage and singing in front of strangers. It's not an easy thing to do. But the funniest thing, well, wasn't hilarious at the time, is that because I'd experienced chronic illness, so daily migraines, I hadn't performed in over a year, which I don't think has ever happened in my professional life. So over 30 years of performing, I don't think I've ever gone for that long without singing. And I experienced really full-on stage fright. Like it was the whole deal. So I was shaking before I was going. I was experiencing, unhelpful, really destructive thoughts like, who are you to do this? Or maybe you're just not good enough. And it's like on the way to the gig. So I thought I'd share some of the tools that I used to deal with that. So first of all, I didn't necessarily make it go away. But what I did do is I noticed that these were thoughts, and I asked, is that helpful or unhelpful right now? So just naming the thoughts and that they were unhelpful. So not saying, stop thinking that thought, but just labeling it. I also thought, what would Trudy say? Because I'd taken the workshop with Trudy and it was much easier to think of what somebody else would say. And I thought she would say, breathe. And breathing is the easiest thing you can do. When I got to the gig and I started playing, so I was shaking before I even got to the gig, and I was nervous when I was packing up my gear. I play guitar and sing. At the venue, I was more worried about getting my gear right because, again, it's something that I hadn't unpacked and packed in a really long time, and that was all fine. And I think it was just after I started playing for a little while, it just felt really natural, and I remembered, I can really do this. Like, this is fine. I enjoy this. I sound good. It's, I'm sharing music. And that's where that went with me. But after 30 years of performing, I was really surprised to experience stage fright. I was kind of delighted though, because in taking a workshop on stage fright, often you're the distant expert where it's been many years since that was your experience. But when I started singing, I had so much stage fright that, I felt like, well, is it really worth doing this? And sometimes people tell you, it's a sign that you're, that this is not the thing for you. And it's just such rubbish. It's, sometimes what stage fright is information telling you how important it is to you. So don't take it as a sign that it's not something you should do. The more you perform, the easier it becomes. But that kind of level of adrenaline is always going to be there. And if it's not there, like times where I've had gig after gig after gig and thought, I just can't be bothered tonight. I'm lucky to have that adrenaline because it just does kick in and it elevates you that little bit more so that you can connect with your audience. So I just wanted to share that. It's a pretty short anecdote. So how do you deal with stage fright? The tips I'm giving here are to breathe, to notice your thinking, and to say, is that a helpful or an unhelpful thought right now? Because if you try and stop thinking, it's like, don't think about a pink elephant. The first thing you can do is think about a pink elephant, but just notice, is it helpful or unhelpful? And something else this year is I've decided to just really back myself 100% in what I'm doing. For a while, I shared with a girlfriend of mine that, I always had at the back of my mind that I was not good enough. And she said, good enough for what? I just had never, ever thought that far about it. I just thought I wasn't good enough, but I hadn't actually, named good enough for what. And that really challenged me, although it sounds really silly. It's just sometimes we don't really examine those thoughts that we have. I hope that helped. I'll put in the description a link to my website. So I've got a downloadable for a 5-minute pre-performance routine, and I hope this helps you in some way. And please, in the comments, tell me what's worked for you. Thanks a lot. I'll see you next time.